Hey, everyone. What is going on? First and foremost, I hope you guys are staying safe and healthy out there. Wanted to check in with one of my favorites, former Auburn football coach, Gene Chizik, hanging out with us today to talk a little bit of football, to talk about the landscape of college football as it is right now, and just to check in first and foremost with your family during these unprecedented times with the coronavirus policy.
Yeah, Lauren, you said it. It's unprecedented times for sure. And look, we're all home here as a family, and right now we're keeping our fingers crossed. Everybody's healthy. Nobody's had any issues. Doing a lot of praying for a lot of people out there because there's some hard times going on for so many people out there, and so many people are trying to find a glimmer of hope. And we think a lot about those people daily. But our family, thank God, as I hope is the same with yours, we're doing great. And right now we're just taking everything like everybody else. That's day by day. So right now, knock on wood, everything's good in the Chizik household.
Well, that's really certainly great to hear. And obviously a time that we can all kind of come together and obviously practice the social distancing, stay at home and do all that we can and do our parts, but certainly brings us closer to family and friends and being able to connect. And so we're obviously thankful to be able to connect with you right now and sort of just get your perception on things and perspective during this time. Because if you're a college football coach, you're still kind of doing this, right? You're kind of wondering, how do you proceed through this time? And so, as a former college football coach, what are some insights you can kind of provide us? And what are some of your greatest concerns at the challenges that lie ahead?
Yeah, when you go to peel this onion back, Lauren, it's there's a lot of layers to it. And I've actually spoken in the last 2 to 3 weeks with a lot of different football coaches, both head coaches and assistants. And look, they're like everybody else right now. They're trying to figure out a way. And there's so many layers to this in the college football world. If you start at this point in time, normally right now, everybody is going through spring football. That's the first concern with all these coaches out there. How are we going to, get this amount of football that we're missing? How are we going to get this and deliver this football knowledge that we have that we've got to give to our guys? How are we going to get that out there to these guys? We can't practice. We can't sit in meeting rooms with them. And so, everybody's concerned about the amount of time you're missing in spring ball. Very few people had any practices at all before this hit. So that's concern number one. You've got the recruiting aspect of this. It's extremely challenging this time of the year. You're always having recruits, on campus, coming in, coming out. It's a revolving door with recruiting. As we know, recruiting has no finish line. It never ends. So it's kind of weird in that regard too. And in the evaluation of recruits, because at this time of the year, you have a lot of camps going on. And, quite frankly, you're looking at times and you're looking at video, you're looking at things that these guys would be doing in camps. Well, that's not happening. And then that trickles down to you having your own camps in the summer. Is there going to be any avenues for you to have any camps in the summer? It doesn't look like it right now, but we don't know. And then you've got players right now that are out on their own, and you've got the health aspect of this. You got to have players that are in shape, they're running, they're lifting. What we know reality-wise is that, it's hard for guys to do that on their own with somebody not overseeing them. And that's hard to do. And now they've closed all the gyms. So now you've got a health aspect going on in terms, with respects to player safety, that when you do come back, what's that going to look like for these guys? And not to mention the guys that had surgeries in the off season that absolutely 100% need all the rehab. They have to have oversight when it comes to the rehab. When you have shoulder surgeries and back surgeries and knee surgeries, well, these guys aren't around. So right now you don't have any oversight there either. So I think there's a lot of things happening that people don't even understand that all these coaches are concerned about.
Yeah, and you make a great point there. You're really just kind of peeling the layers back because there are so many varying levels. It's not a matter of just saying, okay, we're going back to work this day, this time. There's so many things that lead into it. We talked about it a couple of weeks ago. One of the biggest concerns is perhaps the injuries. And obviously, we all know that even though there are seasons in college football, and like most sports, there is no such thing as an off season. And so how how do you know that it's safe to put guys back out on the football field, even if it is just in shorts and without pads? As a football coach, how do you make that determination?
Well, you have to rely on your medical staff, and hopefully, everybody's, on the same page with, what it's going to take. I worry about it, Lauren. I've had back surgery. I've had shoulder surgery. I understand the critical nature of the rehab, and there are no days off, and there can't be, I kind of feel like it today. I don't feel like it today. It's got to be a deal where day in and day out, you're relentless in the pursuit of getting your health back. I know there's plenty of people, if you just take the SEC alone, there's plenty of guys out there that have had back surgery, shoulder surgeries. Shoulder surgery is a 5 to 6 month rehab. And let me tell you something, if you don't rehab that correctly, if you don't rehab your knee correctly, if you don't rehab your back correctly, those are 3 critical things that there's a bunch of people across America that have had all of those surgeries. And if you don't rehab those correctly, it's not a matter of you not playing next year. It can be a matter of you never playing again. And that's how critical it is. So, when the time comes when the players are allowed to come back on campus, boy, it's going to be all hands on deck with everybody, in your athletic department, your doctors, your trainers, your rehab people. Everybody is going to be included in this with, it's critical evaluations before you see where this young man is and where they are in their rehab, because you can't make a mistake on a young man, not only just because it affects your football team, but it could affect them moving forward the rest of their life, right? Trying to move functionally and doing all the everyday things that every one of us can enjoy, if you don't rehab these things right. So a lot of concern out there in that regard.
Yeah, that's definitely a great point, and something you don't think of the future, not just in the next month, 2 months, a year from now, obviously, onward for the remainder of life. One thing about the accountability you said and keeping guys accountable, that's hard to do. You've got the coaches, you've heard a lot of them are kind of implementing these various calls and these Zoom meetings and things. They're able to kind of have that face-to-face interaction. But how do you keep your players accountable? And I know that we heard Alabama, amongst some other programs, are doing the Apple Watches where they're able to kind of monitor all the workouts and whatnot. But you're a coach. What would you do in this situation to try to hold your players accountable as they're supposed to be in spring right now, spring football and spring camp?
Well, those are great questions, Lauren, and it's difficult. Now, obviously, the good news is that technology is so advanced nowadays that you have different ways to do it, as you mentioned, the Apple Watch and things of that nature. I think it's important that your team has accountability within the team. It's not necessarily just about the position coaches and the coordinators and the head coach breathing down a player's neck every single day, making sure that, he's running, every one of them got a workout from a strength coach. Every single guy has that, right? But where you really hope this accountability that you speak of comes from is that you recruited the right guy. You recruited the right mark of the man. Part of recruiting, everybody thinks about 40 times and height and size and weight and speed and all of those things, vertical jump, bench press. That's absolutely all part of the deal. But you know what may be more important, Lauren, is the mark of the man. Did you recruit the right guy to come in there? Because if you recruited the right guy who's driven, the guy that wants to be a champion, the guy that wants to make sure that he's the best out on the field, that his competitive nature is second to none. And if you have those type of guys, then you hope most of your team is that type of team where those guys, it's built in. It's who they are in their heart. It's how they operate every day. It's what they get up in the morning craving to do, and that is to get better and to be the best they can be. So it really all started years ago or months ago or a year ago when they recruited these guys. And then I think it's important that the accountability comes from the teammates, from the team leaders. And this is where you hope your locker room has those guys. You hope that your older guys that have been there and done that, they care about winning championships. They care about being the best on the football field. They care about their future. They care about their teammates. And, we always said it's more important for you to care about, it's more important for you to care about the guy next to you than worry about the guy in front of you when you're playing the game. And that's true. And I think these are the times that test that. But I think the accountability of the leaders on the team and the effect that they can have, the far-reaching effect they can have by calling these guys every day, FaceTime and talking to them, no different than you would lead your locker room. I think this is where these guys become invaluable if you have the right ones in the position. If you don't, I think it's a struggle.
And I think that value also comes with the new guys coming in. When you haven't had that opportunity to be face-to-face and develop that locker room relationship with the young guys, the new guys coming in, how are these leaders stepping up and really kind of taking the reins and bringing these guys in even from afar so that when they get on campus, it's go time, that they feel like they're already acclimated to, what this college football thing is all about. Because we all know the jump from high school to college is like, whoo. It's hard to process until you've been there and done that. And I guess that kind of leads me to my next question. Do you think the NCAA will have to implement something different? If there's one or two things that you can think of that would be important. I know Nick Saban mentioned in the teleconference today, he thought that a 14-day teaching period would be valuable.
Yeah, Lauren, I think it's critical that they have a great plan. I talked to Greg Sankey the other day, and his world is upside down right now, trying to deal with so many levels to this. One of the things that I know he's very concerned about is that if we do get cleared to play, which I truly believe we will, obviously nobody knows the timeline, but when it happens, what is the plan? And one of the pieces to the puzzle to me, if you just think about this from a NFL perspective, they don't have spring football either, but they're allowed to have the mini camps. They're allowed to have the OTAs, which is optional training activities. And I think they're going to have to really look at the possibility of having these at some point during the end of spring or the beginning of summer, the middle of summer, all the way to the end of summer, for a couple of reasons. Number one, you're going to have to, they're going to have to pull the reins back and lighten the reins a little bit on some of the legislation that they have with time that coaches can spend with players in meetings. There's going to have to be some adjustments to these. But one of the biggest things that Nick, I wasn't privileged to what Nick said, but I'm sure he's referring to a mini camp type of mentality where you're able to go out with helmets and shorts on and do what, the NFL people are allowed to do, and let that be the spring practice, because it's not just about getting your freshmen ready to play. Yeah, every coach in America is concerned about a junior college player or a high school player, a new player, if you will. They're all concerned about them losing the reps of spring, the invaluable reps of spring practice. So what's the next best thing? The next best thing is bringing these guys in and having an opportunity to put on helmets and have some practices, whatever those restrictive practices look like, but have those practices for these guys, get them acclimated to college football. It's one thing playing at, a 5A high school, and then you come into the SEC and it's a whole new ball game. And it doesn't matter what position you are, but you got new quarterbacks in this league. You got new offensive and defensive linemen in this league. You got guys that graduated high school early just with the purpose of playing, being able to participate in spring ball. And they don't have that now. So they're going to really have to put their heads together. And to me, I've thought about it, and I've talked to some guys about it. It would be invaluable for them to have a sort of a mini camp or OTA type atmosphere where they can get with these kids. They can be in meetings with them. Forget the amount of time you're able to spend with them in the summer that is restrictive. You got to back those off a little bit and let them spend time getting in meetings, getting them in a position where they can possibly participate. And it's not just so they can help your football team. It's also a safety issue. These guys have to understand the speed of the game. They have to be in the shape to play the game. And these coaches can go out there at these mini camps and really look and see where these players are in terms of how good a shape are they in, how strong are they, what did they do over this 2, maybe 3-month layoff, if you will, how good, and again, you're talking about safety issues. So I think it's going to be imperative that they come up with something right now where these guys can go out and practice before they come back for fall camp and get ready to start the season.
certainly some great insight there. And Gene, we all know that you come with us with your words of Chizdom, something that I know I appreciate. I love following you on Twitter. I always feel like I get that extra boost, feel like I get all hyped up when you send off those words of Chizdom. So during this time, to those of our folks that are listening and watching this, what is some advice and some words of Chizdom you want to provide to people out there that are just facing so many different challenges in life? And it's more than just football. It's more than just sports, but obviously it's livelihood. It's all that we're battling right now. And while, we're all trying to stay safe and healthy, we're also wondering what the future looks like. So what are some words of Chizdom you can provide for all of us?
Well, it's funny you say that, Lauren. I mean, I'm gonna tell you what I try to do every day. I try to keep my emotions, my emotional self and my spiritual self in the right frame of mind. And it really is that, I try to seize every day. There's definitely a lot of pressure on a lot of people out there just to pay the bills. I got a lot of prayers going out to those people because, this is affecting a lot of different people in a lot of different ways. Myself right now, the only word that comes to my mind is hope. I think we all need hope. And I think this will pass. And I think that we're resilient people. I think that's what we have in the United States here. We have resilient people. And I would say, kind of seize the day, right? I know there's some concerns and there's a lot of things going on out there, but try to take some positives out of this. I never expected my whole family to be back under my roof. I have 3 college kids, and it's very rare that we're back under the same roof, but we're back under the same roof now. And I'm trying every day to do something with them. I'm trying to, seize that opportunity, right? I don't know when I'll get this chance again, but trying to do positive things, trying to do fun things, just trying to be a family again. It really makes you reflect, Lauren, to me, on the things that are really important, because so many people put so much into status and clout and, money and all of those things. And man, as long as your family is healthy right now, let me tell you something. We all have problems, but you don't have real problems until you have bad health problems. So if right now your family is healthy and your people are healthy and you have a chance to be around them every day, I say embrace that and have hope, because it's going to get better. There's going to be a better day. I don't know when that's coming, but it's coming. And I just hope everybody really understands that there's opportunities that you can seize certain things right now and try to make them positive, man. That's why, to me, your emotional mindset and your spiritual mindset, for me personally, it's everything to me. And that's how I try to approach every day. I get up early. I'm thanking God every day that nobody in my family's sick. And I try to pick out something that day that I'm going to get better at, read a book, do something with my family, learn something I didn't know. I try to set goals for myself every day. I don't want to put my head on my pillow at night thinking that I just got up and then I went to sleep and that was it. That's not happening in my household. So I encourage everybody to maybe approach these days as glim and as dark as they are at certain points, man. Just embrace what you can, keep a lot of hope, stay spiritually and emotionally in a good place to the best of your ability, and it will pass.
Such great words of Chizdom from you, of course. And so the family activity today is washing up the cars, right? You're out there making sure they're getting it done right.
Now look, I enjoyed me and my kids washing all our cars together. I'm not sure they really enjoyed it, but I did.
Oh, hey, I can see you. All right, so you got to get back out there and make sure they're getting it done right. I know how important it is. Got to spot clean that. But we again appreciate your time. Tell the family hello for us, and we certainly are thinking about you guys through this time, and we just got to stay together as one. But again, thank you, Gene. We appreciate it.
Thanks, guys. Y'all stay safe out there.